Joining us now is WWL Louisiana political analyst and Gambit columnist Clancy DuBos. Clancy, there is a lot to talk about tonight.
Sure is.
Let's just jump right into it. Now, did we learn anything new from Landry's inauguration speech?
Not really. He ran for governor talking pretty vaguely about the issues. In fact, as a candidate, he did not give any specific policies that he would implement as governor. He simply said he would fight crime, all the things you heard in Lily's story, education. He talked in generalities, and that's what he did today. Now, that's not really unusual for an inauguration speech. Inauguration addresses typically are meant to inspire and give people hope and lift people up, and you get into the details, into the weeds later on. And I think that's what we can expect from Landry for right now. But it's interesting that he didn't even say anything as a candidate about what he would do specifically. So it's been kind of a big question mark, although we know he's conservative, he's an arch conservative, and he's going to implement conservative policies. But in terms of exactly what he's going to do, we still don't know.
Okay, well, what can we expect maybe his biggest priorities to be during his term?
Well, the ones he talked about today, some of what you heard before, beginning with education. That was the first thing he said during his 30-minute speech in terms of policies. You heard the quote about an education that reflects parents' values and not an indoctrination. That's a big thing with Landry, and I think that will take aim at things like don't say gay bills and other sorts of culture wars, and probably efforts to not allow CRT and DEI and all the other initials, critical race theory, anything dealing with race or tolerance for LGBTQ+ is going to be off the table. Any conservative bill that the legislature wants to pass in that regard, he will sign. With regard to crime, he really didn't get specific. He just said, I don't want to tolerate violent crime. The other big thing I think he mentioned was economic development. We know he's a friend of oil and gas. It was interesting that he talked about heeding all the science, not just selective slices by people who have an interest in something and lobbying for certain things. And he said specifically, we will not, we will refrain from funding those who seek to profit from taxpayer-funded subsidies. Now, I don't know if he means green energy or carbon capture, solar or wind, but you know, for somebody who's a friend of the oil and gas industry, the oil and gas industry is into carbon capture and other forms of alternative energy sources. Landry has said he's for, quote, all of the above. If that's true, he might want to be careful about going after subsidies because the oil and gas industry gets a lot of subsidies in the form of tax breaks. So we really need to see, once we get into the weeds on his policies, what he's really talking about here.
All right, and quickly, if you can, what's the biggest difference between his and Edwards' term?
I think with Edwards, Louisiana kind of went down the middle, maybe a little bit to the left of center on a few things. Edwards, vetoed some of the culture war bills about libraries and anti-LGBTQ and anti-trans kids and parents of trans kids bills. Jeff Landry is basically having Louisiana on a highway that makes a sharp turn to the right because he's very much an arch conservative, and he's proud of that. And Louisiana is, let's face it, a conservative state.
All right, Clancy, thank you so much for being here and for breaking that down for us. We appreciate you.